Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. Jameis Winston is the guy that you never saw coming. We'll talk about that coming up here in a moment. Played well last week. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll give you some comparisons. We'll talk about the game, and we'll get into it. Always learn from your mistakes. You got to learn from your mistakes. We'll do that coming back next. It's G. Bush right here on The Ultimate Browns. Welcome back to the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. It's your boy G. Bush right here with the Ultimate Browns, man. We had a great weekend. You talk about it, man. Cavs got some wins. The Browns came up with some wins. And you know what? We did it so big. Tonight coming up, 6:30. Mikey McNuggets and Jason Lewitt are going to do the Ultimate Cavaliers. They're going to have a nice little show planned for you. They're going to be doing that live. It's already scheduled. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to just pop on and talk to the people. I usually record this, but since we had a lot of news, I wanted to go ahead and record this live and get this out here to the people. Make sure you guys are tapping in with me, and we got a lot to talk about in this episode. We'll talk about later on coming up. Let Jameis be Jameis, man. Jameis Winston has a little bit of a quirky personality. We've talked about that a number of times. Jameis Winston is a guy who's done his thing, and he's a character to say the least. But we'll take a look at what his personality type and why he is so infectious for the Cleveland Browns, and why that's been working out for him, and why it works so well as him moving in and becoming the starting quarterback here, throughout the rest of the season. Also, we gotta learn this, people. We talked about this a little bit. We got to learn to give people credit, man. We got to learn to give people credit. The Cleveland Browns came out there against the Baltimore Ravens. They won a football game. They did it in dramatic fashion. They did it in a way that was exciting. It was the fan base. We always felt that Jimmy was hovering over the stadium and really working his magic. We got to learn to give people credit and celebrate when the celebration is due, because we've been taking L's for such a long time. It's time for you to talk about that and get that going as well. Listen, we're going to get this live, and we're going to get your comments. If you want your comments to be heard, make sure you put them in the chat. We're going to be doing live comments. I wanted to get your honest opinion about what's going on with the Cleveland Browns. We'll be doing that over in the sidebar over here, because I think one of the things that we're missing a little bit is we had to win. And sometimes on our shows, we can be very heavy with just our commentary and analysis, but we don't get an opportunity to kind of let you guys get your opinion off in terms of Jameis Winston. During the shows, when I'm on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, I'm in the chat a lot, and I get to interact with the individuals talking about the games, the sports, whatever the case may be, and what happened. But we want to give you an opportunity to be able to react and do that right here on the Ultimate Browns. So that's going to be one of my main focuses. So get your questions ready. A few questions we're going to be throwing out to you guys. Jameis Winston, one of the biggest things is how moving forward, how is this situation going to be analyzed? How does this situation look? And one of the things I wanted to talk about was this. Always remember where you came from. Remember what the heck you was doing before. Remember where you came from. You say, G. Bush, what are you talking about when that comes? What are you talking about with that? We were in a very similar situation with Jameis Winston that we are in currently. And what does that mean? Back in the day, I think we got revisionist history on what Joe Flacco was. I think a lot of times with Joe Flacco, I think people now, because he came out of nowhere, he did what he was supposed to do, and he really put up some numbers, and it was a magical ride with Joe Flacco. It was like a whirlwind, right? But sometimes you got to go back and revisit certain things so you could understand and get what you need to get from it. And also, don't make the same mistakes twice. Don't make the same mistakes twice, right? Everybody was sitting here telling me that Deshaun Watson was not playing well. And everybody, we should have kept Flacco. We should have kept Flacco. We should have kept Flacco, right? Everybody was saying that. But one of the things that people do not give credit for is the tapes is out here. people weren't clamoring for Joe Flacco back then. People weren't ready to jump over the wall for Joe Flacco. As a matter of fact, I did something. I went back to the archives, boys and girls, and I had to pull it up because a lot of people right now are telling me that Jameis Winston is a bridge quarterback. He's not going to be able to do nothing. You're not excited. Wait till next week. We're going to figure it out coming up next week. Or, hey, we still need to go after a quarterback. We should have kept Flacco. We should have, all those coulda, woulda, shouldas. But let me just show you. I'm going to let y'all see real quick. This is what the commentary was when we signed Joe Flacco. Remember, the tapes is here. And by the way, just recognize who was on the right side of history when it came to this. Let's take a look at that. Here's UCSS, Mikey McNuggets, myself, Adam the Bull, Jason Lloyd. When last year, when they said Joe Flacco was being announced, this was the energy level that we had in the room.
And guys, we talked about it on Friday when they worked out Joe Flacco. They didn't sign him, but he is now part of the Cleveland Browns. It is official. And what are your thoughts on Joe Flacco joining the Browns quarterback room?
I like it, guys, and I'm fine with him being here, but I hope he never plays a game for the Browns.
That's right.
I want, first of all, with this, right now the Browns' offensive line, a little leaky. And DTR is able to make plays with his legs. He made a couple of big plays with his legs. Joe Flacco is incapable of doing that. He can't do anything with his legs. So, listen, unless DTR is a complete disaster, I mean, he's turning the ball over at a crazy rate. Joe Flacco has no upside. Zero, zilch, nothing.
Wait, how old is Joe Flacco?
How old do you think he is?
I'd say he's 35.
38.
38?
38. I think he's about to turn 39.
Okay. But I have no interest in Flacco.
Do you guys agree
playing.
with that?
Yeah, I don't want to see him.
I'm exactly the same place. I don't want to see him unless there's an injury. Okay.
I think we're downplaying this a little bit too much. The reason I like this move, and I think it's a home run, is because you get somebody that is going to be able to accelerate the learning curve for DTR. He's going to be able to tell him, this is what you're looking for in this coverage. He was going to be able to tell him how to break apart films. And more importantly, I think the Cleveland Browns are telling you that this is the anti-punt move. Actually, they're going for this.
They're
one,
all
the
in.
fourth and one.
Yeah.
Because they're saying, okay, if we got one quarterback to go out and get, which one can we get that really makes a difference in a pinch? I thought they looked at what happened with the San Francisco 49ers last year and said the San Francisco 49ers was at a place where the defense was playing lights out and they could not beat the Eagles because they didn't have a quarterback.
He is little.
For one game,
Yeah.
and the defense has not had any tape on Joe Flacco, he could win you one game.
Yeah, I mean, just you're 100%
He
right.
win you that game.
DTR.
As you can see, if you go back to it, boys and girls, it's what I was saying when Joe Flacco was here. When Joe Flacco was announced as he was coming off the practice squad and he was announced that he was going to be the Browns quarterback, and people talked about, I want to see DTR. Well, guess what happened this time? The same thing. I think we're going to see DTR. They put DTR in the game. He did not look well. You then go and you revert back and you say, let me get the veteran. Let me talk to Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco comes out, does what he does. The rest is history. 4, 5, 6 games throwing up for over 300 yards. And now people are on the timeline saying, Joe Flacco, why did we give him up? Joe Flacco, what's going on here? The reality of this situation is we talked about that early. I talked about it. I said, I think you're downplaying the move. I think that when you got Joe Flacco, he's a guy that can get it done. And let me tell you this. A year later, we look around, guess who we got? We got Jameis Winston that falls into your lap. Jameis Winston throws for 334 yards, and most of the commentary that we've heard from all of the beat reporters and most of the commentary we've heard from multiple people out there, the commentary is, listen, we still need to draft a quarterback. Most of the commentary is, he could have threw 3 or 4 interceptions. The complexion of the game would have been different. If he would have threw 3 or 4 picks, we wouldn't have been standing here. Again, learn from your mistakes. Jameis Winston is 30 years old. Joe Flacco is 38. Jameis Winston was a number 1 overall pick. Joe Flacco was the end of the first round, I believe, early second, maybe. Jameis Winston won a Heisman Trophy at Florida State. Your boy Joe Flacco came from Delaware. Joe Flacco is accomplished, and he did his thing in his league. But just like Jameis Winston, he could throw you 3 picks. He could throw you 3 touchdowns. We saw that. The thing I'm telling people to do and to look at and just be objective about the situation is this. You got an opportunity that you have a guy in your building. We always talk about the fact that the Browns defense, or excuse me, the Browns offense was the worst in the league. We talk a little all about how bad Deshaun Watson was and how anemic the offense was. My question is this. We harped on that so much. But the second somebody gives you that, the second somebody gives you that the number that you want, as soon as somebody gives you what you've been looking for, competent throws down the field, the ability to get rid of the ball one time, the ability to run play action, the ability to inspire people, the ability to have guys that are sitting there saying to you, hey, we'll rock and roll with this guy. We'll roll with this dude. We like Jameis Winston. Look at the way the receivers ran their routes. Look at the way the offensive line blocked. And the thing I want to say to people is this. If you want to go back and look, if you want to go and look at it this way, I said this on UCSS earlier this week. You take a look at a situation where you have the Cleveland Browns, and we talk about this being the worst trade in the history of mankind. And whether that's going to be the worst trade in the history of mankind also depends on how you handle the fallout from that. And what I mean by that is this. The San Francisco 49ers, in a lot of ways, were like the Cleveland Browns. They felt that they were a quarterback away of winning a championship. They go out and get a Jimmy Garoppolo, they pay him some money, and they make it to the Super Bowl, and which is further than when we made it with Baker, right? Further than when we made it, right? But you get the point. They get to that point, and they say to themselves, look, man, we feel like we got everything that we need to get here. We got everything that we need to have here. We got the offense. We got the offensive line. We got the great defense. We feel we got a great coach. We got a young coach in Kyle Shanahan. But we need that upgrade. We want to get better at quarterback to give ourselves that opportunity. And what do? With a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, who went to a Super Bowl, they decided that they were not good enough. Now, think about it like this, boys and girls. If a quarterback goes to the Super Bowl at any point in time for the Cleveland Browns, that person has a lifetime contract. Can you imagine us trying to move on from a guy that got it to the Super Bowl? But this goes to show you the mindset that you have to have as an organization, that you have to pick the pieces up and ask yourself, what's next? So, yeah, you may have missed on Deshaun Watson, just like they missed on Jimmy Garoppolo. And you can say, well, it's even worse because the money and the picks. Well, okay. But you look at what they did. They said, let's get in the draft. Let's get Trey Lance. Right? Now, they ain't paying Trey Lance all that money. But the premise still stands that they think they need to upgrade. They trade 3 first-round picks and then I think a 3rd or 4th-round pick as well to get Trey Lance. They start Trey Lance a few games. He ends up getting hurt. They figure out, hey, he's no good. As a matter of fact, we ain't even really got nobody. We got Jimmy Garoppolo, who we don't think is the guy. We just gave up a king's ransom to get Trey Lance, and he's not the guy. What do? The San Francisco 49ers didn't panic. You know what they did? They looked around and identified somebody on the roster that they thought had an opportunity to be something special. Brock Purdy, they took him in. They ran the offense. They put him in what Kyle Shanahan wanted to do, and guess what they did? He ended up turning to be into a diamond in the rough. Now, people will say, and their rebuttal is, G. Bush. The rebuttal is this, dog. Come on. Are you serious? Like, it's a 6th-round pick. They looked up and got it. But what I'm talking about is they had the guts to say at one point in time, as the general manager and ownership, and Kyle Shanahan go to them and say, listen, the best quarterback on our roster is Brock Purdy. I know that we paid Jimmy Garoppolo in free agency and he got us to the Super Bowl. Don't think it's going to get done. I know that we had Trey Lance. We need to cut bait on that right now. We don't even need to put him back in the game. We're going to roll with this. They go with that. He's making he ain't making that much money. They make it do what it do, and they end up getting back to a Super Bowl. The point is to hear that you look at Brock Purdy and you look at the pedigree of Jameis Winston. Obviously, he needs to continue to do it. Obviously, he needs to do it, and he needs to continue to do it more. But one of the things that I'm sparking and I'm lighting the embers is this: if he continues to play well, don't pour cold water on that. Be thoughtful about what it was that we just went through last year, and remember that sometimes you can do things an unconventional way. And right now, the Cleveland Browns look like they're up a creek without a paddle because of what's going on with Deshaun Watson. But you got a guy. I repeat, you got a guy. Go back and look at that all-22. Sean King's going to be on tomorrow. When I encourage every single person that's in here, 133 people in here right now, hit that like button. We'll get to your comments as well. I encourage every single person in here to go watch when Sean King is on, and I'm going to tell you, the 2 throws to David Njoku, the one that he dove over the middle in the first few drives, absolute dime. The throw that he threw over and David Njoku gets the touchdown where he has to go over somebody's back, that is an absolute dime. And to be able to have a short memory and to be able to almost throw picks and then come back and drop another dime to Cedric Tillman and win a game in which we haven't even seen our team. Now, think about it. Deshaun Watson, we was talking about the Baltimore Ravens games from Deshaun Watson last year. Remember? That Baltimore game, second half, Baltimore, Deshaun Watson ain't threw nothing that looked like nothing that Jameis Winston threw in this Baltimore game. And we was going crazy over that. I'm just saying. Am I crazy? Am I nuts? Let's get to it. I'm going to get to it. Let me get to y'all questions. Let me see what y'all questions are. 142 people hit the like button. Stop playing around. What's up, man? I see you. Sean says, hey, listen, Winston is the truth right now. Should have made that change week 1. Some would say they went to the bullpen a little bit too late. What's up, Michael? Michael Wheatley. Jameis would be a good bridge quarterback into the next year for us. G. Bush, great attitude and presence. Listen, think about this, Michael. Let me go ahead and think about this, right, real quick. You can mess around, and I ain't gonna say they're gonna win a bunch of games or whatever the case may be. But if you can have a bridge quarterback like Jameis Winston, and you still can keep the majority of your because that's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to keep the veterans ready to go and hungry. Notice something, fellas. They are sitting here talking about it like this. Notice this. Juan Thornhill talk about, hey, guys, hey, listen, I know we 2-6, but we still got everything in front of us. Hey, guys, I know we looking kind of crazy, but 2-6, all of a sudden you go into this game this week at home against the Chargers who are struggling. You tell me you don't think that Jameis Winston can play well and you get to 3-6? That's what you're looking for. You're looking for your veterans to keep playing strong. And then and if you can afford to use your picks on something else other than a reach quarterback, my man Bruce, what quarterback is worth anywhere in the draft this year? Look, I know a lot of times y'all be looking around and say, G. Bush, man, you do a lot of hyperbole, you know. Maybe y'all might get thrown off by my antics and how I like to be entertaining. But let's be clear about this thing. these quarterbacks is not, nobody's guaranteed. If you wanna run around here, tell me this: is Quinn Ewers throwing for 340 yards against the Ravens tomorrow? Is Shedeur Sanders throwing for 340 against the Ravens? Getting the ball back. He takes sacks. Listen, and I love Shedeur. Shedeur takes sacks too much in college, let alone be running around. I just saw somebody holding the ball too long. Carson Beck. You want to see Carson Beck dropping back? Come on, man. Come on now. You think Nick Chubb is trying to hear none of that? Come on. Hey, Bruce, hey, DTR, man. You see it, man. Mr. Afternoon, Bardo says, the only thing that's confusing me is how did the rest of the team play way better with Watson out? It looked like a different team, and I'm convinced that Chubb gives stat boosts to like a RPG. Hey, listen, but here's the thing, and I'm gonna give you this. The reason why I feel like it's like that, Mr. Afternoon, is first and foremost, we gotta look at it like this. When you know that you got an opportunity to get the rock, you're gonna run hard. I told Mike McNuggets play basketball. When you're a big man like myself, and I've been setting screens, rebounding all basketball game. I've been switching and hedging on the pick and roll, and every single time I know I come down court, I know that some small little point guard gonna jack up a terrible shot, contested shot, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be. And you keep getting me fouls because I gotta help off because you don't play defense either. At some point, you stop running. You stop running hard. At some point, you start to be like feeling sorry for yourself. When you see Jameis Winston coming in the game and he hit that third step, ball out. And by the way, we're going to talk about this a little bit later on in the show. When I say let Jameis be Jameis, the reason I'm saying let Jameis be Jameis and why I like that is because he invokes emotion from people. He invokes some sort of passion. He invokes some sort of want to, right? When you got a guy at the top leading like that, when he's inspirational and he's giving you that energy level, guys are going to have more energy. So I think that's a part to do with it. I think, obviously the offensive line getting back, being ready to go, Nick Chubb being back, it looks different. But listen, that's just the way the game works. Some people got that mojo. He's one of those dudes. Let's see. Joseph Potter says, Winston is a top 15 quarterback, always has been a football savant, and a man need my job, and a man we need at my job because he can energize and inspire God. Dude's a leader of men. Totally agree. It's not the worst trade, worst contract. I'll give you that. Let's see, man. What's up, man? Keep flaming G Bush with this truth, man. I bring it. It ain't for everybody. Look, hey, look, it ain't for everybody. Sometimes the way I give it up, it ain't for everybody. But I'm gonna just keep it a buck with you, man. The good teams, the good smart teams, the teams that are doing it at a high level, guess what they're doing? They're finding unconventional ways to get it done. I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. What are they, 6-2 or something stupid? That's what they did. Hey, Bears, you don't want Justin Fields? We'll take him. Give us Russell Wilson too. We'll give it. You see what I'm saying? But here, when we do stuff, we got to go conventional way. We can't, we got to go back and get in the draft. And bro, out of all these quarterbacks, and you can't have it both ways, man. Like, why is it that I can see Sam Darnold doing it and people praise that? Why can I see they praise Baker Mayfield for it? Why he's turned his career around. Geno Smith turned his career around. Goff turned his career around. It's a lot of people that are turning their careers around that are playing damn good football right now. And so for the Cleveland Browns, you got to stack them together. But one of the things that I'm looking at is why not Hugh? Once again, we talked about it. I was telling you last year, I said, listen, don't sleep on Flaccavelli. And now everybody still want him. You know what I'm saying? We got the tapes. We got the tapes. Been a Browns fan since the 80s. And I say let Winston cook. If he serves dubs, bring him in back, and if not, look around. That's it. Bandit 007P. Buy it and bump it, man. Sometimes, man, listen, when you listen to the music all the time, sometimes if the beat is just good, just rock it. I ain't got to have no introspective comments on social commentary on what the beat is. Sometimes these young dudes, they don't be saying much of nothing on these records. But guess what? It's a vibe. Right now, Jameis Winston is a vibe. He's a vibe. Let's keep it going. What we got here? Let's get a couple more before we get to segment 2. By the way, we will be talking about moving forward. I think there's a couple of things that I think to watch out for moving, because I like to get my crystal ball out. I like to get my crystal ball out and see, because I done already start hearing some whispers of some certain things, and G. Bush don't like it. Shane Griffin, very evident the team will follow Winston. It was crazy to see the offensive line start to put in the work, so immediately we riding with 5. We got a 3% chance of making the playoffs, and that's generous. Hey, Anthony, I agree. I mean, they might have 5 to 8% chance to make the playoffs, 3 to 5, 3 to 8, whatever the case may be. Starts one at a time. You know what I'm looking at is this, and I told you people this before. My evaluations is I'm trying to go 1-0. We went 1-0 with Jameis Winston. If I'm the coach and I'm Stefanski, let's go 2-0. That's what I'm looking to do. Brandon, stop it, G. Bush. You just chatting. Maybe you didn't. They said I was just chatting last year. I don't want to see James. I do not want to see if Flacco plays 1 down, we're in trouble. I'm just chatting. I don't know, man. Matter of fact, let me run that back. Maybe it's 188 in here. Let me just run that back so y'all can understand that I just not chatting. Let me just give you this real quick. I ain't gonna do too long. I'm just chatting. This was your boy last time we talked about this conversation.
And guys, we talked about it on Friday when they worked out Joe Flacco. They didn't sign him, but he is now part of the Cleveland Browns. It is official. And what are your thoughts on Joe Flacco joining the Browns quarterback room?
I like it, guys, and I'm fine with him being here, but I hope he never plays a game for the Browns.
That's right.
I want first of all, with this right now, the Browns' offensive line a little leaky, and DTR is able to make plays with his legs. He made a couple of big plays with his legs. Joe Flacco is incapable of doing that. He can't do anything with his legs. So, listen, unless DTR is a complete disaster, I mean, he's turning the ball over at a crazy rate. Joe Flacco has no upside. 0, zilch, nothing.
Wait, how old is Joe Flacco?
How old do you think he is?
I'd say he's 35.
38.
38?
No, he's 38. I think he's about to turn 39.
Okay.
But I have no interest in Flacco.
Do you guys agree
playing.
with that?
Yeah, I don't want to see him.
I'm exactly the same place. I don't want to see him unless there's an injury. Okay.
I think we're downplaying this a little bit too much. The reason I like this move, and I think it's a home run, is because you get somebody that is going to be able to accelerate the learning curve for DTR. He's going to be able to tell him, this is what you're looking for in this coverage. He was going to be able to tell him how to break apart films. And more importantly, I think the Cleveland Browns are telling you that this is the anti-punt move. Actually, they're going for this.
They're all in.
4th and 1.
Yeah.
Because they're saying, okay, if we got one quarterback to go out and get, which one can we get that really makes a difference in a pinch? I thought they looked at what happened with the San Francisco 49ers last year and said the San Francisco 49ers was at a place where the defense was playing lights out and they could not beat the Eagles because they didn't have a quarterback.
He is little.
For one game,
Yeah.
and the defense has not had any tape on Joe Flacco, he could win you one game.
I was just talking back then too. I was just talking. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was just up there screaming around. People talking about I don't want to see Joe Flacco at all. I'm just saying, G. Bush be right sometimes. You be right sometimes. We'll keep it pushing. Let's get to one more. G, do you think we should go after Sanders if they will accept him coming to the Browns? Hey, listen, they ain't want no parts of that. I mean, listen, G. Bush's bad neck. Shout out to my bad neck, my back, and my Achilles, all that. Here's the problem. I don't even we want to try to get into that. Here's the thing. When you first and foremost, when you're dealing with quarterbacks, you're dealing with philosophies. You're dealing with the philosophical ways that people want to go about it. There's two things that I think people are going to have a problem with Shedeur Sanders. And one is the Browns fan base. I wish we'd just be real with ourselves. Listen, we have a problem with people that move to their own drum. People that move to their own beat. When Shedeur Sanders does this, I ain't got no problem with it. As long as you throwing touchdown passes, do this all you want. Show your rolling, go on Instagram, do all that. But you got to understand, look, at what point in time do you be real with yourself? We had people in our population that had a problem with the brash behavior of Baker Mayfield. We had people in our population that had a big problem with the way Odell Beckham Jr. was too Hollywood and all this New York stuff, and he was doing this and that. We just got done talking. We be on the show arguing about people showing Instagram and vacations. If you think, and Shedeur Sanders' father is one of the most famous guys in football faces in the world. If you think Shedeur Sanders' father is not going to comment on Shedeur Sanders playing, if you're not going to, he's not going to comment or do whatever, it's going. Listen, I'm just letting you know right now. Stop. We got to learn. If people would just keep it a buck, you know what we like? We like Nick Chubb. We like Nick Chubb. We like people to hand the ball back to the referee and go sit back and don't say nothing. That's what we like in Cleveland. Shedeur Sanders can play football. If I was running the organization, I wouldn't have no problem with it. But I'm eccentric. We see it all the time on the show. I'm eccentric. Listen, all that other stuff. I'm part of a different generation, and a lot of in a different. I got a different cultural upbringing when it comes to the way I think about the internet and the way I think about people expressing themselves and doing those type of things. That's just what it is. So do I think that people will be okay with it? If Shedeur Sanders comes in and he throws and he's dynamic and he's great and he plays well, sure, people will buy in eventually, but there will always be a segment of the population that necessarily does not like flash, bravado, and that's just a product of what it is. Let's see. Let's keep it pushing. Let's see. And then finally, Jay Bale says, no way Deion lets him come here. No shot. Look, hold on. Let's see. If Sanders comes to Cleveland, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. And you know what? Here's what I'm going to say to people. People don't be like, I'm telling you, one day, if it all fails and I just said, I can't do this no more, and I leave the game, you're going to turn back and you're going to say, you know what? You say what you want about G. Bush, but the dude kept it 100%. He kept it a buck. He it ain't no shucking and jiving. He kept it a buck. He said stuff people ain't never going to say. I'm just keeping it real with you, bro. It is what it is, man. Like, we're going to have an issue with that. We'll have a problem with that. We just got done having one. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about one right now. Coming up here in the next segment, we'll get to some of your comments and do that as well. We'll talk about this. We got to start letting y'all tell me what y'all want. You let me tell me what you want. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. What do you guys, we got to learn to start, getting over some of the baggage. We got to learn to start giving people credit. And I think Kevin Stefanski needs some credit. I think Ken Dorsey needs some credit. And I'll tell you why coming up. It's G. Bush right here on The Ultimate Browns. Speaking of giving credit, man, I give these guys credit. One of the best baseball podcasts in the game, Ultimate Guardians, Adam the Bull, Zach Meisel, they do their things, man. Guardians had a great year, as you can tell. Make sure you check those guys out as the winter meetings come around. Guardians is going to need some bats, need a couple of arms, and these guys will know every single minor league prospect and nobody else knows. They'll be all over it, and they'll be able to do that. Coming up here at 6:30, Ultimate Cavaliers, Jason Lloyd will be live. Mikey McNuggets will be live. That's why we push it up a little bit, give them a little runway so you can get your fix of the Browns. But Cavs is balling right now. Cavs is styling right now, profiling. They made me apologize. My wife made me apologize to Darius Garland. Tyvis was all over me. We'll talk about that coming up. Make sure you check Ultimate Cavaliers, Jason Lloyd, Mikey McNuggets, and you can catch this all right here. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure right now we're over, I think I'm almost 50,000 subscribers. Make sure you know we got Ultimate Cavs, we got Ultimate Guardians, we got the other Ultimate shows. We'll talk about that coming up in a moment as well. But you never know when we out ready to do it until you guys hit that like button and subscribe. We'll do it. Come back next, and it's all courtesy of UCSS. Welcome back to the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. I don't even know it's 30 minutes. I've been over here talking for a long time. It's almost 5 o'clock. I might give y'all some extra today. We wanted to go live with you right here in the Ultimate Browns, give you an opportunity to opine. Jameis Winston, big winner against the Ravens coming up here. Let's talk about this. We got to learn how to give people credit where credit is due. You say, what are you talking about, G. Bush? Now, we talked about how bad we were with Deshaun Watson. We talked about how terrible we were, right? And my thing is, I'm going to give Kevin Stefanski credit for this. As I was sick last week, one of the things that I kept thinking about and kept hearing people say was Kevin's being bullied. Why doesn't he stand up to the ownership? Why does Kevin Stefanski keep doing this? What's going on? They stripped him of his play calling. He would never give up the play. Listen. I'm critical of Kevin Stefanski when he does certain things in clock management and when it comes to the plays. And the reason I talked about Kevin Stefanski giving up the play calling ability is because of what we saw in the game on Sunday. Kevin Stefanski was an individual who was everywhere. I saw him talking to the defensive line coach. I saw him talking to his offensive line. I saw him talking with the special teams coordinators. I seen more energy out of him. I seen him looking around and being able to be in the headsets. He's able to touch base with everything. You ever notice this? And this is facts. You ever be at work and back when I used to work in an office setting, they used to say, hey, big wigs from corporate are going to be here on Monday. I need you to have your team together. No excessive breaks in the coffee room, G. Bush. Nobody be late. And that dress code is intact. Do not have these joints coming in here in yoga pants and in no shorts, button up, business casual, tuck that shirt in. Excessive breaks will be watched. And we need everybody here to 5 o'clock, not 4:45. Don't be clocking out, looking around. You get here, it'd be a whole nother office setting. It'd be a whole nother, you'd be like, dang, you get there on Monday, you'd be looking around like, dang, the office clean. It's quiet as a church mouse in there. People is just over there just typing random emails. Ain't even typing nothing, just yeah, I'm over here typing, just getting work done, just being studious right now. Yep. Got work to do. Can't even deal with Jody over there. Jody, can't gossip with you. I don't care about the Browns game, Ted. Everybody ready to go. It's funny how when the head honcho starts walking around the cubes, people tighten up. And right now, I saw a lot of tightening up. Guess what we didn't see? Jed Wills wasn't playing. Jed Wills, he must have saw that tape, that look-a-who block. He must have searched it. He must have had time to be on the internet. Like, dang, Jed was doing that terribly. He had opportunities to be like Dustin Hopkins. You keep missing these kicks, I know something. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes hire people to do a job and move the hell out the way. For everything that we talk about Jimmy Haslam, for everything that we say, Jimmy's micromanaging, Jimmy's over things, Jimmy's doing this. Why can't that same thing be true for Kevin Stefanski? You keep hiring offensive coordinators and you still want to call the plays. You keep hiring offensive coordinators, but you handcuffing them. Let them do their job so you can maximize your other parts of your job that you're responsible for. And I'll give him credit. While everybody was trying to sit around and tell Kevin Stefanski he was being bullied, did you ever think once that he is smart enough to realize that maybe I'm in over my head a little bit? Maybe I do need to work on these penalties. Maybe I do need to reel some of this other stuff in that I'm seeing where players ain't motivated, looking like they don't care, and out of shape, and all these other good type of stuff. For me, sometimes we got to actually stop acting like Kevin Stefanski is some bullied child. Because from everything that I keep hearing and people keep saying, Kevin Stefanski has always said he's been about a collaboration. He's always said, I'll do what's best for the team. Some people may question that move to keep Deshaun Watson in there, but that's not me. That's what they saying, Kevin. But honestly, like at some point, give him credit for saying, Ken Dorsey, do your thing. And I disagree. Everybody's talking about like, oh, it was different. It wasn't different plays. It was just so-and-so. It wasn't different plays. It was just listen, man. That's not what play calling is about. Go back and listen to Sean King. Go back and listen to Bernie Kosar. They've been saying it for the last 6 to 8 weeks. It's not necessarily what the diagramming of the play is. It's the relationship between the quarterback and the guy in the headset. Are you married to the ideas? When you guys are going over those plays and he's saying what you like, how you like this, what are you going to do? Let's dial this up right here. All that matters. That matters. There was a lot of plays in that game where I don't think Kevin Stefanski would have called the same plays. I just don't think so. Not saying it's a completely different offense, but there's something to it. We have to stop minimizing all aspects of the game. That's the thing that's irritating sometimes is when we talk about this stuff, everything is boiled down to the fact that it's automatically the quarterback. It's not because that's necessarily true. That's the only thing we know about. We discount communication. We discount what it means to be in a huddle and guys inspiring each other. We discount what it means when an opportunity is given to Dorsey, Ken Dorsey, who people have been talking about for years, the reason he got fired in Buffalo. You don't think he was up all night thinking about the plays he was going to call and getting that opportunity? You don't think that played a part in that? He finally got an opportunity to show the world, like, I'm putting my stamp on the game. What did Jameis Winston say? I love my opportunity. I listen, thank God that I got an opportunity to come back and be a starter. You don't think that plays a role in how guys interact? Those two dudes are sitting in that room saying, they didn't listen, we get our chance. We done seen other people put their stamp on this game, and we 1-6. Let's show them what it looked like when we put our stamp on the game. So at the end of the day, we give credit where credit is due, man. Did Jameis Winston almost throw some picks? Sure. But who gives a damn? He didn't. If we're going to kill people for actually being close to winning games but blowing it at the end, let's not give I don't give a damn what the Baltimore Ravens did. Who cares? They should have been better. Pick the ball off next time. We got the dub. You didn't. No. I understand it's the 31st ranked defense and they had guys out. Who cares? No one's giving us excuses when we taking them L's. I'm not giving them no games back either. Sorry. You lost. You got smoked. 330 something and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. In 5 years, no one will remember that you almost 3 interceptions. They'll go back and know that you won the game and look at the stat book. With that being said, We'll get to some of your comments here really quickly. Let's get it. What are we looking at? Let's get to your comments. Browns should focus on building the rest of the team. Quarterback doesn't matter. We're never gonna have a quarterback to play worse than Watson. Well, we may see. Are the Mannings and the Haslam still good? I would think they both are rich and cool. I would say they should have no problems. As long as we have the team and organization, they believe your window is always open and no tanking. I'm not a tanking guy. Not a tanking guy either, man. Let's see. iPing says they were really riding Deshaun Watson until the wheels fell off. Gave him $230 million. You had to. I thought. Let me explain that too. Am I crazy for saying this? Like, I don't understand why people are in disbelief about why Jimmy Haslam was running around telling Kevin Stefanski that they're going to play Deshaun Watson till the wheels fell off. He paid him guaranteed money and gave up all them picks. He was going to play him come hell or high water the entire season. And why we are sitting here acting like we would have not done the situation, same thing, you're lying. I'll give you an example why you're telling a lie. I have a car. I'm still making payments on this car. It has been in the shop for almost a calendar year. It has a new engine in it. And it still be playing around sometimes. Still be messing around. People say, well, G. Bush, why don't you just cut bait? Go get another car. Is it that simple? You see what happens when you pay for a car and you're still making payments on that car, said car, you're going to make payments on that car regardless, whether it's running or not. So I could sit there and look at it as an expensive paperweight in my garage, or I could continue to put the money into it because I know I'm on the hook for the money. I'm going through it in real life. And the way that car payment is looking, you're going to make that payment regardless. There is no cheap get out of jail with it. So if you look at it from a perspective of millions upon millions upon millions upon millions, of course he's going to say that. Jimmy Haslam's like, no, you're going to play him. You're going to like it. You're going to like it. Speaking of, when we get back, we're going to talk about let Jameis be Jameis. What does that exactly mean? I don't want to hear this. I don't want to get into this. I don't want to hear this. We're starting to see rumblings of it already. Let's go ahead and cut this out before we even get it. We'll come back and tell you exactly what it is, and we'll hear from Jameis Winston himself right here on The Ultimate Browns. Well, we talked about all of our other shows. It's only fair we get to my man Earl the Pearl, Ultimate 216, Mr. Sports and Culture. That's what you're going to be able to get with him. Great interviews, going to give you that 216 outlook, local, great news stories. Shout out to Earl the Pearl and all the work, and especially behind the glass as well. Make sure you guys check those guys out as well. And then, of course, it's me. It's G. Bush. Like, you usually get 2 episodes a week. Last week was a little something. I had a little touch of pneumonia, so I was in and out. But you know what it is. Ultimate Browns, biggest and best in the game. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and so you know when every one of our episodes is up and running. Welcome back to the Ultimate Browns. G. Bush here. Jameis Winston got a big win. And one of the things that made the rounds around national news was the fact that Jameis Winston now is getting a lot of airtime, man. Rightfully so. Big time game. And his attitude, his personality is on full display. He was on Monday Morning Quarterback. No, I think this was Good Morning Football. Good Morning Football. He was on, and he was talking and listening to his old self, and he had a good conversation and talked about his personality and a little bit of his outlook of why he goes about and is the way he is in terms of, you know, the way he talks, how he moves, and his thought process in being a leader.
Tell your younger self, and this is
8 years ago,
question, and back in 2016. Listen.
My trainer, Otis Lever, he sent me a clip of Steve Harvey talking about what he would do back in the day and how your early years end up reflecting on your later years, you know. So now that I'm trying to mature, I'm trying to be a better person every single day, I realize that your early years are always going to show you where you're going to end up in your later years.
What's it like to watch that back?
Man, it's great to watch it back because, you know, I was who I was back then. And as I'm continuing to grow and mature, my early years are adding up. It's that compound interest. It's that compound effect. So every single day, I'm approaching it to be a man of increase and imitate Christ. So as I continue to do that, dog, the sky is the limit. And if the sky's the limit, they can't say the sky's the limit when people have been on the moon, you know. So I'm going to keep on going up.
right.
I'm going to keep on inspiring people and hopefully, you know, somebody grow from that.
Sky is the limit when people have been on the moon. That's awesome.
That is.
I tell you what, man, you can't look. Shout out to Jameis Winston. Good Morning Football. Shout out to them, and that was courtesy of Good Morning Football. And look, one of the things that I want people to resist is this, and I wanted to get out in front of this. There's been rumblings like, you know, maybe Jameis Winston is not sincere in what he's saying. Maybe that comes off as a shtick, or is this going to be continuously something that, you know, he can do if the Browns can lose games? Is that going to be something that, you know, people frown upon, or the Browns are getting tired of the act or different things like this? And I just wanted to say, what do you want? This is, what do we want? It's hard having conversations about the Browns and certain things because it just seems that, you know, we've been arguing and fussing and fighting and doing all these things when it comes to talking about the character issues of Kareem Hunt or the character issues of even back in the day when it came to Josh Gordon and obviously the character issues and some of the allegations that came along with Deshaun Watson. We heard the R word. We heard the pedophile. We heard, you know, he's a predator. We heard all of these certain things, man. And now we get to a point, and Jameis Winston says he's a person that's into building and building up people, not tearing them down. He's a God-fearing man. He wears his faith on his sleeve. He's a guy that is a person that comes to the aid of his teammates. He's a guy who, even though he came to the aid of his teammate, talked about how important it was for the fan base to be involved with the Browns and how it's a coexistence between the city and the fans and how that's an important relationship. He talks about how he's an ultimate team player and that he builds his guys up and he pumps these guys and breeds and pours into them in terms of being there early, staying late, making sure he gets done what he done. Guys, we can't have it both ways. What do you want, man? You can't be mad at and upset and incensed at the fact that you had guys like Deshaun Watson who had allegations, and you talked about how that was so disturbing. But we can't have it where now all of a sudden the dude is, because he mentions his faith, that's a bad thing. Where's the in-between? We talked about we don't want flashy people. We don't want people to be on Instagram showing their families. What? Like, I don't. This is the thing that gets to me. And this is a point that I've been making on these platforms since I got here. When people say you're putting the cape on for Deshaun Watson, I say, bro, I'm not putting the cape on for Deshaun Watson. What I'm putting the cape on for is letting people be individuals. Let them be who they are. because they're not like you, or they may not look like you, or they don't do the same things outside of football, or they don't talk the same, or they use a slang, or they use proper terms, or they go to this school or they don't go to that school. We got to be to a point where we're tolerant and understand that, guess what? We got to accept people for who they are. Jameis Winston has never, ever said that he was anything different than what he is. What you see is what you get. And so sometimes in sports, and like it's just like anything in life, you need the room to be able to be who you are. And I think I believe in being unapologetic in who you are. If people don't understand or like the way you move and react, then get them out your sphere. It ain't for everybody. Jameis Winston came in and did a job. Jameis Winston came in and did a masterful job. In 1 week, he turned the Browns fan base that was fussing, fighting, arguing one another to, guess what? He got a win on the football field. His team is now talking, even if they're delusional. It might be delusional. They're talking, hey, the season ain't over and it ain't playoffs. And the fans came back and cheered on their team against a Baltimore Ravens team that was playing the best football in the league, that just got done smoking your boy Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. Look, if we're going to start to have a conversation, is this about it's about what's going on the field. It's about acceptance. It's about tolerance. It's about understanding who people are and letting people do what they do. Let them be who they be. If JOK wants to wear his African heritage in the way he dresses, I love it. Unapologetic. If Wyatt Teller wants to be a country strong dude that like his beer, that off-road and four-wheel drive, by all means, love it. Wyatt, do you? If Kevin Stefanski want to have a beard, be an Ivy League dude and tell you nothing, can you imagine the conversations between him and his wife? I bet you they don't talk about nothing. He be sitting there with his face like this when at the dinner table. Yeah, I'm gonna order the salad. At the end of the day, man, let the man be the man. Let him be happy. Let him go out there and talk about his faith. Let him talk about what he want to talk about, bro. We got to stop putting stuff in the game. Stop it. Just quit it. Stop putting extra stuff in the game. We be doing a lot of that when we be talking about these sports. Either you're going to want to talk about it all, or you're going to leave it on the field. Now, if you talk about it all, you already know what G. Bush going to do. Now, I'm not going there today. I'm just playing with y'all. Just playing. Let me get some of y'all's comments, man. You guys are funny, man. Let me get some of your comments, man. Let's see. You got idiots like Bosa flashing political messaging, and we just let it go. See, I didn't say that. He said that. Hypocrisy at its finest. My man, Truth G, and I'm judging Watson, Winston, or G. Bush, period. I'm judging me, myself, and I. That's it. Let me tell you this, too. I'm going to keep it real with you, and I'm going to just give you this before we get up out of here. Look, man, I got a lot of stuff I need to work on. I'm going to be honest with you, bro. As you start to take your spiritual journey, as you start to be an individual who wants to, as you get older, you start to see your mortality in front of you. You start to see those that going before you. And the passing of Jim Donovan really did something to me a little bit in terms of reflecting on who I am, what we are, what the meaning of life is, and what it is that we all want. And for me, one of my goals was one of my things that I thought about was, what are you doing to work on yourself? What are you doing? We do a lot of commentary and we do a lot of commenting on these people that are public figures. What about you? What can you do to be a better husband? What can you do to be a better son, a better person in the community? It's a lot of stuff that you do that when them cameras ain't on, that nobody sees, that ain't really jumping like that, that you ain't supposed to be doing that you ain't supposed to be thinking. Even when it comes to thinking about certain things, you can always be a better, more mindful person of who you can be and become a better citizen and a better everything. So sometimes, when people pass away and when you see certain things happen, there's a natural process where you start to reevaluate some of the things you do. And for me, I'm looking at everything that I'm trying to do. It's small things. It could be procrastination. It could be just the way I view certain things, the way I, continue to always learn, continue to always become a better person, better husband, all those different things. So for me, I'm less focused on worrying about what these athletes is doing, because I got a lot of stuff that I got to clean up. It's a lot of stuff that it starts with you in your own personal life outside of that. So, it's all about reflecting, and it's okay to reflect. It's okay to reflect. And I like how Jameis Winston is. I like what he says. He's striving to become a better person each and every day. So with that being said, we want to thank you for pulling up. 218 people in here right now. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And as always, man, we like to talk about the Browns, but we're going to mix, when you get G Bush, you get a lot of me. I'm not just in here to talk to you about what it is. I'm going to give you something extra, man. I'm going to give you a part of me, a part of my ideology about the way I think about things. And we're going to have a discourse here. We're going to have a positive discourse, and we're going to be able to go back and forth positively. And sometimes we'll agree, sometimes we won't. But the thing that we agree about the most is we love the Browns and want to see them win. With that being said, you never know where I might show up. Radio, television, internet. But if you want the fresh take, the real take, the natural cut on sports, I keep the sharpest clippers in the game, and the barbershop is always open. Have a great rest of your evening, and go Browns.